Alright, so for this devlog, I've decided to do something a bit different. So instead of just showing you all the new features I have in the app, I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey of building them with me, so you will see exactly what it looks like. But before we start, you're probably new here. I'm Mykola. I work full-time as a software engineer, and here I try to build small pet projects on the side and document the journey along the way. Currently, I work on a project called Checker. It's a habit tracking app for iOS. I'll put a short demo video somewhere on the screen, but you can also check my previous devlogs. I will leave a link in the description to the whole playlist. But now let's go a few days back when I was starting to work on a landing page for the app. Okay, so it's now 9:40 in the morning and I have half an hour to spare between tasks at my day job. I'm trying to lay out basic landing page for Checker. I think it's one of the bigger tasks that left. That's kind of always in the back of my mind that, okay, I need to do a landing page. It's a big task, so I better to start now. I kind of put on pause everything that I do in the actual app and start to work on the page to have it done and not do it in the last moment when the app is ready and I don't have any kind of energy left and I still need to do this big thing, so I'm trying to do it now. I didn't do much in Figma. I'm just trying to gather some inspirations from the pages that I like. I was looking at themes. They have very subtle, cozy feeling at their page, which I really like and I would like to replicate. Also saw recently this Rocket Sim app. I like the general layout, big titles, big images, some animations here and there. I'll probably go with something like this. Also, Screen Studio has pretty much the same vibe. I don't have as much features to show in the app for sure, though my page will be much more concise, but the general idea I think will be something similar. I've started last evening to experiment with some layouts. I don't really like this because it looks too epic. It kind of wastes a bunch of space in the header just for the icon and the title. It's kind of pointless. I want to have nice screenshots, maybe with some animation that right from the start highlights to the user what the app is actually about. I just don't want to have like a bunch of screenshots and some cheesy titles. I try to make it actually useful, so if people go there, they really understand the app. That's the idea. I don't have much time to work in this now. For this half an hour, I'll probably just collect more inspirations and try to think. In the evening, when I have more time, I will actually start to design something. Okay, so my daughter just went to sleep and I have time to work again on the landing page. And after I recorded last time, I actually made some progress here and there on the page. I think I nailed the general design idea, the broad layout. So this is how it looks. So it's quite minimal, but the idea here is to have a widget very visible in the header, and in the final version it will be animated as well. On the left, I have title and description and this handwritten thing. I think it adds some color and draws some attention. It doesn't look as boring. At the bottom, I will just have screenshots and animations of different parts of the app with some descriptions, basically like a feature set for the app. One thing though I don't like so far is this right side of the page looks quite empty. I have this community Figma template with some hand-drawn doodles. I'll try to throw them around the widget, and in the final version I will also animate them slightly, so this side of the page won't look as empty. That's where I'm at right now. I have my black tea without caffeine, I have my headphones, I will put on some music, and for next hour and a half we'll try to flesh out more of this page. Let me show you what I have so far. Most of the changes are in the sections below the header. The first main section describes the general flow of the app, so user can understand what it actually takes to track something in Checker. And the screenshot here is just a dummy placeholder. In the live version, I will replace it with a nice demo video. Next, I have a section about tracking amounts, which I think is one of the key features of the app, so I try to highlight it on the landing page as well. And the structure here is quite similar. On the right, I will have a nice demo video, and on the left, I just listed all the unit categories that user can track in the app. And the last section I have so far is about the widgets, which I think is also one of the most important features of the app, but otherwise it's quite self-explanatory. And I'm still going to add a couple more sections, one about the dark mode and another one about apps values. as I wrapped up the design work on the landing page, I'm going to switch to something in the app itself. And I've decided to work on app settings. Right now it's relatively simple screen. There will be a lot more going on in the future here, but right now it's mostly a collection of links on how to give feedback about the app and also on how to follow the updates. One more or less complicated part of the screen is this card at the top that says check Powerpack, and Powerpack is a set of paid features within the app. And at the bottom of the screen I have this data export import section, which I already have within the app. I mostly use it right now to debug issues with my database, but I've decided to also leave it in the production version as well, thinking that maybe for someone it will be useful to export the whole database out of the app. And later I also want to support different formats for export and import, like CSV for example. So that's the plan for the evening. I'll just code for a few hours and I'll probably share my results tomorrow morning. Alright, so settings are done now, and it took me actually a couple of evenings to implement, mostly because of the data export-import feature. And export is fine, but import was real pain to do. There is this function that I pretty much hate at this point, and the funny thing, I will not include import feature in the public release because I realized it's really easy to mess up something in case user exports the whole database file out of the app, and then I update the application with the new database schema, and after the update user tries to import back the file with an old schema, then it just will blow up. And there are ways to mitigate this, and I could implement some versioning and checking for schema compatibility, but it's all just hacks and workarounds. The proper way to do it is to have some database schema agnostic format for data export import and do it this way, but I have no time to do it at the moment and I don't think it's a critical feature for the release. The export will be there in case it's a tech-savvy user and they want to export the whole database file and do whatever with it. It's fine, but import I will not include. But besides that, the screen looks and works exactly as I planned and designed it. All the links point into the right places. And by the way, I created a Discord server in case you want to ask me some question or you have a suggestion about the app or this YouTube channel. Feel free to join, I'll be happy to chat. And with this screen done, I'm going to switch to another feature, which will be implementing weekday names on the side of the grid. And it should be a relatively straightforward feature. The only complication I can think about right now is users' regional preferences for which day is the first day of the week, like Sunday or Monday, but the grid itself already has this logic built in, so I'll just probably reuse some of that. And there might be some additional issues related to the grid layout, because even though it looks kind of simple, under the hood there are a lot of stuff going on related to animation, scrolling behavior and whatnot. So I hope adding this extra column on the left won't cause any major issues, but who knows, we'll see. Okay, it's been a few days since I recorded my last update, where I started to work on the weekday names on the side of the grid. I remember I was saying that it should be a relatively straightforward feature to implement, which of course it wasn't. I know this from my day job. At some point, projects that grow, they cross some threshold, and then no feature is too small anymore. Even changing some copy in the UI is not a simple task all of a sudden because of all of the complexity under the hood. I think I'm somewhere at the stage with this project as well, especially in the area of the grid, which I think is the most complex part of the app. Naturally, adding those weekday names caused some ripples through the code base, and some bugs were discovered. And I recorded a video of the exact issue. I will put it on the screen as well. In the code, this part at the bottom and the grid are two separate components, but they need to communicate with each other in order to figure out which dates are displayed in the grid, because basically it's a calendar under the hood, and this component needs to know the date range from this corner to this corner. And the issue was that this component at the bottom was relying on the fact that grid would take the full width of the card. It's a bit weird, but this is how I made this work eventually. And of course, when I added this left column, this wasn't true anymore. The grid wasn't occupying the full width, so I had to do some refactoring and rearranging stuff so that this component at the bottom would get the proper widths of the grid and do proper calculations. And also because the grid is flexible in a sense that it adjusts to the different screen sizes and available screen space, it slightly changes the spacing vertically and horizontally between cells. So when it does that, I also need to adjust spacing between these day names so that they always in the center of each row in the grid. So now this feature is done, and I'm going to switch to Powerpack Store, which is the place where a user can unlock all of the paid features in the app. Right now it looks kind of rough, mostly because I'm using this kind of newish Swift UI component, and I'm not sure how flexible it was at first, and in fact it's not super flexible, so I was just experimenting to see what I can do with it. Right now it looks like this. It has this animation. I'm not super happy with it because the timing doesn't look right. It's actually done in Blender. This is how it looks there. I'm going to adjust the timing, re-render it, and last time it took me the whole night to render this thing, and eventually it's going to look something like this. That's the next thing I'm going to work on. Probably spend maybe hour and a half right now, then go to sleep, finish a bit later. And I think this will be the last of this kind of live updates in this devlog. And at the end, I will do a recap of all the features that I've built in this period, and I will also include features that I didn't film during these sessions. Alright, so since I recorded those videos, I made some adjustments to pretty much every feature I talked about. So I'm going to give you an overview of what actually the current state of the app. The landing page design stayed the same, though I haven't started to work on the implementation yet. I rearranged stuff a bit on the settings screen and also added this app icon picker. Right now it has only one extra icon. It's for people who purchase the Powerpack, just another small perk. One feature I haven't recorded building during the week is this emoji picker for board icon. Apple doesn't really support this use case well, even though they have it in their own apps like reminders, for example. So it was a bit painful to implement, but I really wanted to have this feature in the app, and I'm glad it's there and it works fine. But the most adjustments I made is to Powerpack Store. Now, you've seen early in the video that it was going to be a subscription, right? And this thought never sat well with me, to be honest. And the other day, I was running at the gym and I was constantly thinking, like, should I charge subscription for this kind of app? And most importantly, would I personally pay a subscription fee for this kind of app? And the answer ultimately is no. I wouldn't pay a subscription fee for this kind of app. So I've decided to switch it completely to a simple one-time payment. But for this, I had to redesign the store view a bit. And I already implemented the new version. It's much simpler now. It still has the animation at the top, which I re-rendered. The timing looks much better to me now. Then a simple list of benefits with an option to see some upcoming features for the app. And then at the bottom, just big button for one-time payment. And I think I'll stick with the $9.99 price for the initial release. Let me know in the comments if this sounds reasonable. Now, with these features in place, the first version of the app is basically done. And initially I planned to release before WWDC, but it's actually a terrible idea because obviously everyone will be focused on the announcements from Apple, and it will be even harder to get through the noise and get any attention from anyone. So I'll finish the remaining work like landing page and then go through app review process, which people say might be annoying in some cases, and then release after everything from Apple kind of settled down. So that's the plan. I'll see you in the next devlog, which hopefully will be about the release. Thank you for watching. Cheers.